Hello everyone, welcome to another Rick's Picks. Today I'm going to be doing my review of the Masters of the Universe new Eternia figure, Zodac. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at him in packaging, then I'm going to take a look at the figure and his accessories, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on him. And just remember, if you do like this review, go ahead and check out my Masters of the Universe playlist and hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps this channel grow. So without any further ado, let's get to the review. Okay, so here he is in packaging. I do like the packaging for this figure. So first off, you have this window here where you can see the figure, all his accessories. You got the 40th anniversary here. You got your age restriction, Masters of the Universe, new Eternia, his name, Mattel. And when you bring it up a little bit closer here, you got your 30 points of articulation, skew, and you also have the Masterverse logo. All right. Spin it around this side. Not a whole lot to see here. Just Zodac, Cosmic Enforcer. Alright, bring it around to the back here. You get this nice piece of art. I do like this. It looks pretty cool. It kind of almost has the old school look to it, which is pretty interesting. You got your Masters of the Universe logo up there. His name. A little bit about the character. And then you got the other figures that are part of this lineup. Mattel, all your recycling and what have you. Spin them around this way. You get this nice headshot of them. I do like that picture. And you also get a profile picture of the figure as well underneath of it. Spin it around this way. Underneath you got your legal and skew. So with all that being said, let's open him up and see what he's about. So here he is, out of packaging. I think he's a really good looking figure. I like the overall detail to him. He kind of captures a new look, but he still has that original look too as well. So I'm liking how this figure looks so far. So let's start off with the rotation. Alright, so you got this side here. You got the back. You have this side too. And back to the front. So now let's start looking at some of his details up a little bit closer. So first off, I do like the head sculpt. Okay, I think it has a really nice head sculpt. Alright. Definitely very reminiscent to the original figure. The same with this armor piece here. That's very much like the original figure. The same with these little, fins on his arms. I like that they gave him this little sash in front of him. I think that's pretty nice. And this holster here for his gun. I thought that was a nice addition. And of course, let me take this off. As you look at his feet, he still got that monster style form feet that the original figure had. Except, as anybody who knows who collected the original figures, they kind of had those weird claw feet like Skeletor, him, and a few others that, the toes were kind of weird. So, but he does have that whole thing going for him. So overall, I'm liking the look to this figure. I think he looks really cool. So let's start looking at his points of articulation. So first off, head does move. All right, you got a shoulder joint with a pivot. You have an elbow joint and you got a wrist joint. Okay, get those arms up. He does have a joint here underneath the rib cage. His outfit kind of restricts it a little bit, but it is there. It does move. He also has a joint at the belt line. Okay. You'll get a little bit more movement out of that. Alright, spin him to the side. Actually, let's spin him to this side. Okay, so let's put him like this. So first off, you got your thigh joint. You get a swivel. Hold up. Let me get that. There it goes. So you get this swivel right here. You get a knee joint. Okay. You got a swivel at the top of the boot. And last but not least, you get an ankle joint. There it goes. So now you got the ankle joint. So overall, he has some good points of articulation. And he's pretty well sculpted. So at this point in time, I'm liking this figure. So now he comes with a couple of accessories. So first off, he comes with 2 closed fists. So you have this one here. All right. And you have this one here. All right, he comes with a spear that splits in 2. So you have this side here. And you have this side there. He comes with his iconic laser. All right. Now the neat thing about this is I like how they added this extra color to it. So you got this whole gray butt here. You get this band here, and then the nozzles are gray too. So I like how they added these extra colors to it. I think it gives the gun a little bit more pop to it. And last but not least, he has these 2 shoulder pieces. 1, 2. And I kind of like the factor that these are removable, the shoulder pieces, because of the factor you can have the classic look or you can have the shoulder pieces on there. So first off, let's pop these shoulder pieces on. So you have 2 clips right here, and these just slide right in there. There we go. 1, and then 2. Just pops on there very easily. No issues. So now you have him with the shoulder pieces, which looks kind of cool. Next, we're going to do the staffs. So you could have this one here, and this one here. The only problem that I'm having right now is he has 2 types of hands here. So he has this hand here, which is made to hold, you know, like a staff weapon. And then you got this hand here, which is designed to hold his gun. Now the problem is this don't fit very well in this hand, which is kind of a shame, because if you got a dual weapon, you know, type character, you would want him to be able to hold it in both hands. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but you know, get this here. This just screws into the bottom. Boom. Oops. Take that off of there. So now you have the full staff, and he can hold that. His fingers do move, so you can, you know, wiggle it in there. That's not an issue. So now you can have him holding the staff. So in this hand, it fits pretty easily. All right. And next, he has his gun. All right. That fits in there a little bit looser than I would like for it to fit. You know, I'm not liking this hand very much, to be honest with you. Because the problem is that maybe I could close these fingers around it a little bit more. Hold up. So I was able to close. Nah, see, that ain't working. That ain't working at all. So this hand here to me is a bit of a disappointment. I'm going to try to snug it in because these fingers are really loose. You know, they can move very well. Alright, so I was able to work the fingers, close them up a little bit to get that gun to fit in there a little bit better, but at this point, I'm not liking it in this hand. So let's try something here. So it does fit very nicely in this hand. I don't have any issues with it in that hand. It just doesn't want to work with this hand. This hand, you know, as much as I try to close it in a little bit, you know, try it one last time. Alright, like I said, you can sort of get it to sit in there. It just doesn't look right. This is probably the better hand to hold your weapons in. Now, if you have them stationary, you ain't going to move them. It does work. Alright, you got to play with the fingers a little bit, but it will work. So now, let's try this in here. Yeah, so once again, same issue with this. I tried closing the fingers around it a little bit. It'll sit very loose in there, so you can't really use this unless if you just want them in a position like that. Alright, so now he has two fists. So let's pop a hand off. Alright. So that fits in there pretty easily. No problems there. Alright. So now you got two fists. Me personally, I think if they were going to do something with this figure, I would have rather had one fist and then two of these hands. Alright, so you would have a fist and then another open hand, so you can hold both of these, you know, in each hand. Or you can use, you know, another one of these hands for the gun. Okay, so this hand here is, to me, a bit of a disappointment. I'm not too impressed with it, which is kind of a shame. Because it even, if you look in it, it even has a little slot there. So he can hold a gun. It's just, it's hard. Just by the way of design. Speaking of which, alright, here's his gun. Let's see how well this fits in here. Boom. That fits in there very nicely. I like how that sets. Okay. Now, one more interesting thing that I noticed with this figure, these shoulder pieces, if you take them off, okay, and this, his spear, stand, don't want to stand, alright, if I get these two halves of the spear, you can actually lock these in the back too. So if you don't want them to have the shoulder pieces, and you just want these little spears to sit in the back here, you can also do that as well, which would be a neat little addition. So if you don't want them to have the shoulder pieces and you want a spot for his spear to split and be held, you can do that as well with this figure. So my final thoughts on this figure is I do think he's a pretty decent figure. I do like his overall look to him. The figure himself I don't have any issues with. You know, like all his points of articulation, they do move very well. I didn't have any issues with it. I like the overall look of the figure and what have you. I like how well his weapons fit in this hand and that his gun fits in that holster. But when I start having issues with it is with this hand, okay? This hand is my only real issue with this figure. I wish they would have gave us two of these hands, so that way you can have both spear pieces when it comes apart in each hand, so he can have it as a dual combat. And his gun actually fits better in this hand. It doesn't fit very well in this hand. You can get it in there, but it does sit a little loose. So that hand is the only real issue I have with this figure. Other than that, I think he looks really good. I think he'd be a great, you know, addition to your Masters of the Universe new Eternia line of figures and what have you. So with that being said, I hope you all did like this review. If you did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe, and check out my Masters of the Universe playlist. So until the next one, late.